But here we are. Thanks for being here. It's so nice to be here, even though we're separate in the sunshine, all underneath the same glorious sun right now. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. Namaste. This practice, one of the things that has come up for me lately is this idea of our change in perspective. The thoughts, the ideas, the plans that we had here, what we thought we would be doing, is different. There was no preparing really for where we find ourselves at right now. But sometimes when that happens, it's easy to get whirled up with it and kind of get taken away by all the thoughts and the ideas. But oftentimes when we find ourselves in the situation where we don't see solutions or we're getting wrapped up in all of the chaos, sometimes what we need is a change in scenery. Now, that's challenging right now with our current situation that we find ourselves in. There's outside and there's opportunities. We can still change our environment, but there's not, let's be honest, there's not a whole great deal of variety that we have as far as options, but life is still happening. Our life is still going on. And so how is it that we can take a look at the perspective where we're coming from, where our mindset is? And oftentimes the best way to do that is to look at the other side of the coin. Or you could think about it even as thinking about it in the opposite. For me, there's no greater way than getting a different shift in perspective is by either stepping into somebody else's perspective or seeing it from their lens. But sometimes, again, when the mind is really busy, that's really hard to do because all of that's happening from up here. And so what do? I come back into my body. I come into the physical practice where I can feel really, really present. Nothing is going to make me personally feel more present than going upside down. So this is the practice I want to share with you today. I want you to know that if being on your hands, being upside down is new to you, because we are in this classroom setup here where I can't see you, feel free always to reach out with questions to me, but also listen to yourself. Honor where you're at. Don't force anything. Don't do anything that you normally wouldn't do in your life or you just don't feel safe doing. Because the practice is very much about listening to what it is that's called for you to rise up to. And in those nuances, we learn to discern where is it that we act and where is it that we don't. But if we come at it from the perspective of doing or accomplishing, that perspective is going to lead us down a road that maybe isn't going to serve us so well. But if I take the perspective of presence, if I take the perspective of how do each of these little micro steps feel along the way, maybe there's something there to explore. Maybe then the transformation of what's going to happen is going to happen. And then it unfolds itself. So with that in mind, bring your hands into your heart center. Press your palms together. Let your thumbs settle in there at your breastbone. Reach down through your sitting bones and feel the lift up through the crown of your head. A little length in the back of your neck. Maybe you blink your eyes closed, and maybe you have a gaze just at the tip of your nose. Take a breath all the way in. Stay there for just a moment longer. As you open your eyes, find your way onto your back. As you find your way onto your back, wiggle around, do what you need to do. Maybe you need to take a little sway, a little side to side. As you set your shoulder blades underneath you, you can start with your left leg bent and then pull your right leg up in towards your belly. Take your hands and interlace them behind your right knee. Pull your right leg in some, but use more of the action in the front of your hip than you are using your arm strength to pull you in. Stay there for a moment. You could lengthen out your left leg here, or you could keep it bent. Notice how it changes your spine. And if at any time you lengthen out your leg and your chin feels like it lifts up, then I want you to rebend your leg. If though your spine can stay long and your left leg goes long, then explore that. Now take your right leg. When you breathe in, feel what it's like to play with a little extension behind your leg. And that doesn't mean straight, it just means that you're lengthening out your knee. Keep it soft. And then rebend it. Feel how your hip flexor can draw you into your body. Your hands are just there, just as a point of stability, point of support. Because goodness knows we need any little support where we can get it these days. Reach your right leg long when you breathe in. And then exhale as you bend your leg, and then feel again how your hip can deepen at the hinge right here. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale as you bend. Now when you breathe in and you lengthen your right leg this time, let your hands, again, don't let your hands hold your leg there. You might even take your hands out to the side, along your side body, like so. And then lift your left leg. When you're lifting your left leg, now with control, you're going to let your right leg lower to meet your left leg. Once you do so, you're going to start to lift your shoulder blades up off of the ground, peek at your feet, hover right here as you lift yourself up. Stay here for a breath in, and stay for your breath out. When you lower yourself down, bring your left leg up with you, let your right leg come to the ground. Let everything come back down, find your length, breathe out, and then pull your left leg in again, but you're pulling from shortening at your hip flexor. You're pulling your leg up, your hands are just there to support it. Then inhale, lengthen your left leg. Exhale as you bend your leg. When you bend at your knee, feel how you can pull your left thigh up into your belly a little bit more. Inhale as you lengthen. Again, hands to be here. If you want to take them out of the picture, you can if they're in the way. Exhale as you draw it in. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, bend at your knee, pull your hip in. Inhale as you lengthen. Again, you could keep your hands where they're at, or you can lengthen them along your side. Start to lift your right leg up off of the ground. So it's already hovering right there. Feel the extension out of your right leg. When you start to lower your left leg, and when you get probably about a third of the way away from you, you're going to lift your chin towards your throat, pick your shoulder blades up off of the ground, and let both legs float out in front of you. Keep reaching long through your legs, big toes touching. Fingertips reaching through your feet. When you exhale, bend both of your knees this time. Pull them into your belly. A little warming up here through your center, a little bit through your core. Begin to bend your knees and rock and roll over your spine. Now, if that doesn't feel great on your spine, you can also just roll to your side and find your way onto your hands and your knees that way. Or take a little moment there to rock and roll. Come on over to your hands and your knees. As you set this up, take your hands and pivot your fingertips so that they're facing towards your knees. When you do so, you're going to spread out through your whole hand. Feel how there's a little bit of pressure there into the pads of your fingers, and then start to rock back and forth. As you rock back and forth, you might even start to lift your heel of your hand up away from the floor. But feel a little action as you press forward and then press back, using the pads of your fingers to grip into the mat. And there to explore a little length through your wrist. A little action in your forearms as you grip the pads with your finger, or your pad of your fingers. And then Start to take your hands, pause in the middle, and turn them out to the sides. When you turn them out to the sides, now I want you to start to shift a little side to side here. When you shift side to side, press down into the big knuckle of your hand, this area right here, just at the base of your fingers, and notice how you can use the pads of your fingers to grip down into the floor. And so that might even take a little bit of action out of the wrist. Instead, you're using the strength of your intrinsic hand muscles to bring a little action and life into your hand, as much as we need our forearms to also be strong to support weight bearing on our hands. Now start to take your hands and let your fingertips come forward just for a moment to set it up. And then you're going to turn onto the back of your hands, like this. You're going to flex your wrists, come onto the back of your hands. You're going to give just a little bit of counter pressure there into the tops of your hands. You can have a little softness in your elbows, or you can flirt with what it's like to draw the pit of your elbows a little forward. Stay here for a moment. And then you're going to let that action go. Unflex your wrists, spread out through your hands, curl under your toes, and hover your knees up off the ground before you send your hips high and back for a downward facing dog. Reach down to the thumb side of your hand. For today's practice, I'm going to have you take a peek at your hand. And this might not work for everybody, but today I want you to maybe just feel what it's like to have your pointer fingers parallel to one another. So your pointer fingers are drawing straight to the front of your mat. So that means there's going to be a little extra external rotation in your upper arm bone. Stay here for a moment. And then inhale, lift your right leg. When you exhale, draw your knee in towards your belly, spread between your shoulder blades and start to reach to the ball of your foot to rock yourself forward. Let your right knee come down by your thumbs and then curl under the toes on your right foot. As you exhale, you're going to press down through the ball of your right foot and then lift your left leg up. So now you're almost like in a standing L. As you exhale, you're going to lift your right heel, bend at your right knee, pull in at your right hip flexor there to lower your back toes, and then your right knee comes back down. Try that again. Push down into the ground. You're going to lift your right knee just some, push down into your right foot to lift your back foot. Exhale, lift your heel, bend at your knee, lower your knee down to the ground, let your back heel or your back foot land, and then step back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, roll forward for a plank. Breathe all the way in, reach the crown of your head forward, reach your heels back. Your knees can stay lifted or you can bring your knees down to the ground. When you exhale, bend at your elbows and lower all the way. Release all 10 toes to the earth. Draw your shoulders back away from your ears. Press down to the tops of your feet. And then lift from the back of your heart. Spread broad across your collarbones as you breathe in for cobra. Exhale as you lower. Curl under your toes. Pass back up through plank or pass through tabletop. And you breathe in and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. As you exhale, draw your knee in towards your belly. Spread between your shoulders. Rock yourself forward as you push through the ball of your back foot. Your left knee is coming down by your thumbs. Curl under the toes on your left foot. When you exhale, you're going to lift your left knee, press to the ball of your left foot, and then reach your right leg up back behind you. So here you are, almost like a standing L, almost like a short downward facing dog, somewhere in between, right? All right, lift your heel as you breathe in. Exhale, bend your left knee. Feel how your left thigh pulls into your belly. Lower your left knee and let your back toes land. Take a breath in. Exhale, do it again. Lift your knee, press down the ball of your foot. Lengthen your left leg as you lift your right leg. Lift your heel, bend your knee. Feel how you plug your left thigh into your belly there. Lower your left knee back down. One more time. Press down through your hands. Feel a little spread between your shoulders even. Hover your left knee. Press your left leg up as your right toes land. Lift your heel. Bend at your left knee. Lower. Plant your back foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift up through your knees, tippy toe up to the top of your mat. Press down to the thumb side of your hand and your pointer fingers. Lift up through your hips. Once you get to the top of your mat, Take a halfway lift, reach your heart away from your belly. And then when you exhale, keep a softness in your knees. Deepen at your hip creases here as you exhale and fold. For a moment, give your wrists already a break. Turn onto the back of your hands and turn your palms up. Feel long of both sides of your neck. Maybe sway a little side to side. Give yourself a full breath in here. Stay for your breath out. Reach down through your feet. Rise all the way up and you breathe in. And then exhale, pause your hands at your heart. Inhale, lift up through your arms. As you exhale, take your hands through your center as you fold. Inhale, step your right toes back. Stay lifted on your finger pads here, and then when you exhale, lengthen over your front leg. Draw your left hip crease up into your body and back. Push through the ball mound of your back foot to rock yourself forward. Breathe in, plant your hands, step back to plank. When you exhale, bend at your elbows. Maybe you're going all the way. Maybe it's part of the way. Heels reach back. Breastbone pulls forward. Roll over your toes, upward facing dog, or work with cobra because it's still early. Take the time. Reach down to the thumb side of the hand a little bit more here. And then exhale, roll over your toes, send your hips high and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg. As you exhale, draw your knee in towards your belly. Roll yourself forward, push the ball mound of your foot, spread between your shoulders, and then set your foot forward between your hands. So lift a little bit so your heart reaches forward. Reach down through your right heel, step to the top of your mat with a halfway lift. Exhale as you fold. Reach down through your feet, rise all the way up when you breathe in. Exhale as you pause your hands at your heart. Inhale, lift up through your arms. Exhale as you hinge and fold. Inhale, step your left toes back and stay lifted on your fingertips here. Exhale, press back to lengthen your front leg. Draw your right hip crease up and back. Reach through the ball mound of your foot, rebend your front leg, plant your hands, step back to plank, breathing in. When you exhale, part way or all the way. Cobra or upward facing dog as you breathe in. Reach long through your legs, reach down to all 10 toes. Exhale, hips high and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, draw your knee in towards your belly, roll your shoulders forward, and then unbend your left knee to plant your foot forward. Press down through your left heel, gaze forward, and then step, halfway lift. Exhale as you fold. Reach down, rise all the way up when you breathe in. Exhale, pause your hands at your heart. Inhale, lift up through your arms. Exhale as you pass your hands through your center and fold. Inhale, step your right toes back, lift to your fingertips. Exhale, lengthen through your front leg. Inhale, roll or push through the ball mound of your back foot to reach yourself forward. Plant your hands. I want you to stretch your exhale to lower chaturanga, all with your breath in. So when you take your breath up, step back, lower, part way or all the way. Roll over your toes, lengthen your arms, upward facing dog, shoulders away from your ears, towards your spine. And then exhale, hips high and back, downward facing dog. Lift up through your heels, peek towards your thumbs. Bend at your knees. When you exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Halfway lift when you breathe in. Exhale as you fold. Reach down, rise up. And exhale, pause your hands at your heart. Inhale, lift up through your arms. Breathe in and bend your knees and sink your hips for Utkatasana. Reaching down through your heels. Feel all 10 toes connected with your mat. Feel a little bit of drawing in at the front of your rib cage. Lengthen the back of your neck. Stay here, one more breath. Exhale, take your hands through your center as you fold. Inhale, step your left toes back. Lift your fingertips with your breath in. Exhale, lengthen over your front leg. Draw your right hip crease up into your body. As you take your next breath in, rebend into your front leg, plant your hands, step back, lower, stretch your exhale, chaturanga. Roll over your toes, lengthen your arms, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips high and back, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, peek towards your thumbs, bend your knees, lift up your hips. Exhale, step or hop, top of your mat. Inhale halfway. Exhale as you fold. Reach down, rise all the way up, and you breathe in. Exhale, pause your hands at your heart. Inhale, lift up through your arms, bend your knees, sink your hips, Utkatasana. Feel here as your hips are reaching energetically towards your heels. And imagine how your rib cage, and anything from your hip bones to your rib cage is going up. So feel the reach up through the crown of your head to accentuate that length through your spine as much as you're reaching down through your heels. Stay here for one more breath. Exhale, pass through your center as you fold. Plant your hands on the ground. Again, we're going to play with that idea of having your pointer fingers parallel to one another. Gaze forward. Feel that little bit of reach between your shoulder blades, long through your arms. Your hips here have that big hinge in them. So feel the uplift through your hip bones. Breathe in. When you exhale, step or hop back. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog on your breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, draw your knee in towards your belly. Spread here as you reach into your back body like it's a cat pose. Bring your foot forward between your hands. Spin down your back heel about 45 degrees. Feel how your right hip crease is drawing back in space and your left hip crease is already drawing forward. Reach down to your back heel and rise up for Virabhadrasana 1. Feel the energetic quality here of your back heel reaching down to your mat. There's this spiraling action here at your left hip crease. Think about your left thigh spiraling inwards, so an inward rotation, reaching down though through the pinky toe side of your back foot. And then feel how your right hip crease is plugged back. One more breath. Exhale, bring your hands down to the ground. Release your back heel, plant your hands, step back. 3-legged downward facing dog. Keep your right leg lifted. When you roll forward for plank, you might keep your right leg lifted, or you can lower your toes. Chaturanga when you breathe out. Upward facing dog on your breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, you draw your knee in towards your belly. Rock yourself forward. Plant your foot forward. Ground down your back heel. Already plugging your left hip back in space, and feel that spiraling quality at your right thigh. Reach down through your back heel, rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. Now draw some energy into your left heel, drawing straight down. And your back foot, thinking about reaching from the ball mound of your foot to your heel. That zipping up to the inseam of your right thigh. Drawing at your ribcage some here, one more breath. Exhale, release your hands to the ground as you release your back heel. Bring your left leg back, 3-legged downward facing dog. Inhale, roll forward for plank. Maybe your toes stay lifted. Maybe they come down. Chaturanga as you lower. Upward facing dog and you breathe in. Exhale, hips high and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, bring your foot forward between your hands. Spin down your back heel. Rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. Give yourself a breath all the way in here. And anchor down the pinky toe side of your back foot. And really feel your back heel. Release your hands behind your low back. Interlace your fingers. When you lengthen your elbow, feel a lift up through your breastbone here. Feel the energy and the length in both sides of your body. When you exhale, keep your right hip crease drawing back. Your right shoulder drawing to the inside of your right knee. When you do so, again, keep taking the outside of your right hip and just steering it back towards your left heel. Your bound hands can stay back at your low back, or they can start to reach up, lengthen through both sides of your neck. Keep thinking to lengthen your back foot and ball your foot to your heel, reaching it long. When you breathe out, let your right hand lower beside your right heel, lengthen through your right leg, and let your left arm come on up. Rotita Trikonasana. Keep taking the outside of your right hip and steering it towards the space of your left sitting bone. So that your right sitting bone is reaching towards your left. So you feel really plugged in here at your right thigh, but keep a little softness in your right knee. Feel here the rotation through your breastbone to the right. I'm sorry, that's your left. One more moment here. Reach your left arm alongside your left ear. Feel a little length here from your side body, from your left hip to your fingertips. Lift your right toes. Pass your left arm in front of your face as you spin your feet parallel here. Big toes pressing or pigeon toe slightly. Soften your knees. Feel the increase here at your hip hinge as they lift up. And you exhale as you fold. And you might repeat that. Soften your knees. Feel the drawing up through your hip bones as you fold. Your hands could go where they want to go today. They can go on the outsides of your ankles. They can come here between and line up with your arches. You decide whatever it is that you need. Wherever you're at though, let your neck go. Let both sides of your neck feel really long. One more moment. Feel maybe even a little bit of lean forward into the ball mount of your foot. Breathe in, lift up halfway. Stay low. When you walk around to the front of your mat, lift your right toe so you pivot on your right heel. Release your back heel. Plant your hands. Step back, three-legged downward facing dog. So bring your right leg up. Inhale, pull forward for plank. Exhale as you lower the way you lower. Upward facing dog on your breath in. Exhale, it's high and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, draw your knee in towards your belly. Reach your back of your heart forward and then plant your left foot between your thumbs. Spin down your back heel. Rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. You're going to draw some energy into your back heel. Reaching down the pinky toe side of your back foot. So there's a little bit of lift in your back arch. Again, feel the spiral forward, inward of your right thigh as your left hip plugs back in space. Rein in at your rib cage. Take your hands, interlace them behind your back in the opposite order. If you're not sure which order, it's whichever way doesn't feel natural. Behind your hands there, lengthen through your elbows as you lift up through the crown of your head. Again, accentuating the length in both sides of your body. So here, another breath. When you exhale, keep plugging your left hip crease back in space. As you draw your heart forward for humble warrior, you're taking your left shoulder towards the inside of your left knee. But again, don't swing your hip to the left to make room for it. But by increasing the space at your left hip, maybe a little bit more bend behind your left knee. Keep your hands here, maybe go back and maybe start to reach them up and release both sides of your neck. One more moment here. And then release your left hand, press down to the pads of your fingers as you lengthen your left leg. And then spin your heart to the right as your right arm reaches up for triangle. Again, you're thinking about the depth here at your left hip crease. If you need to shorten your stance, do what you need to do. Your left hand could be on the block to bring the ground more up to you. Here you should feel a really strong connection between your left foot and your left hand as they press to lift you up. Stay here for another moment. And you're going to reach your right arm long. Reach long through your side body. Like you could take your right shoulder blade and your right hip away from one another. Lift your left toes. Pass your arm in front of your face as you spin your feet to the right. Pigeon toe your feet together. And then soften through your knees. Lift up through your hips. Long through your neck. And exhale as you fold on in. And again, you might flirt and play with this perspective. Here we are in our upside down shape already. Let both sides of your neck go. Can you trust in the mechanism here that your body will catch you? Those writing reactions that say, okay, we've gone too far, and then your body goes in to protect here to keep you from falling and tipping over. So as you reach into the ball mound of your foot and feel that lean forward, notice where in your body then reacts. Where does it respond? Trust that wisdom. It's there to keep you safe. And then inhale, halfway lift as you breathe in. When you stay low and spin around to the front, pivot on your left heel. So lift your left toes, pivot on your left heel. When you spin around to the front, release your back heel, plant your hands, step back, three-legged downward facing dog. Inhale, roll forward for plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Upward facing dog when you breathe in. Exhale, hips high and back, downward facing dog. Give yourself a breath in here. Stay for your breath out. Do that again. Press down to the thumb and the pointer finger side of your hand. Lift up through your heels. Feel again that shortening space at the front of your hip flexor. Gaze forward. When you exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Halfway lift when you breathe in. Exhale as you fold. Reach down through your feet. Rise all the way up when you breathe in. Exhale, pause your hands at your heart. Take your hand to your right hip. I'm going to turn and face you, so we're going to chat a little bit about this. So as you put the weight into your right leg, draw your left leg up in space. Now you might start here at your left knee. Now one of the advantages of having the space here is that we're going to take the time here to notice here where the hips go. That when we lift the left leg, what we don't want to see is that we lift and we hike the hip up, taking the pelvis and the spine out of balance and out of its center. So notice when you lift your leg where your pelvis goes. Now, you might stay here. You might reach around for your left knee, or you might reach down for your left big toes. Now, when you do that, again, notice if you hike up to your left hip. Keep your pelvis level. If you cannot, and your pelvis still hikes on that side, I want you to come back to your knee. I know, restraint is sometimes the hardest practice. And then open up your left leg. Let your right arm go to the other side to counterbalance it. But even here, you can keep action here in your hip flexor. Notice here, when you open up your leg, the outside of your left hip should be firing and active, even if you have your toes, right? So whatever shape you find yourself in. If your leg is long, bend your left knee, pull it back into the center, and then set your left foot down. Now you might notice that one side is different than the other, so take your time and stay curious about it. You might even start with both hands at your hips. As you lift your right leg, does your right hip hike up? Again, you might stay here. You might reach for your right knee. You might reach down for your right big toes. Now, if you find your right big toes and you still feel how your hip is hiking, can you reach your right sitting bone down some? Sometimes that can help reset it. And then open your right hip to the side. Keep reaching long under your standing left leg. You can keep there with the bend in your leg the whole time, or start to lengthen it out. If you lengthen your right leg to the side, keep standing tall in your left leg. Again, keep reaching your right sitting bone, almost like you could take your right sitting bone and tuck it underneath you a little bit. And then bend into your right knee, bring your leg forward, and then set your foot down on the ground. We're going to do that again, except this time instead of opening up your hips, we're going to keep them squared towards the front of your mat. So then when you put the weight into your right leg, start with your right hand at your hip. Again, you might have both hands at your hips to kind of check in and see where your pelvis hikes and lifts. Draw your left leg up in space. Use your hip flexor here to lift your leg. Your left hand might come down around your left knee. You might reach out here for your left big toes. But again, come back to a place of length. Come back to where your pelvis feels level. And then maybe you extend your left leg and reach your right arm up. But you could also keep the bend in your left knee. If you're not reaching for your big toes and your hand's behind your left knee, you could also lengthen your left leg there. And your left hand can hold you there and support you there. That's okay too. Stay here for a moment. And then let your left arm reach up alongside your right. Keep your left leg where it's at. And then as you exhale, you're going to take your left leg back for a warrior 3. If your hands reach out over or out in front of you, you could always take your hands to your heart as well. If not, reach and work with the overhead action. I have a wall I'm just going to press into. And then soften into your right knee. Let your left toes land in a shorter stance. Lengthen out both of your legs. Reach your arms up when you breathe in. You have 2 options. You can keep your arms reaching up over your head, or you can take your hands to your hips here. You choose. When you hinge at your hips, stay long through your spine. So keep this action here, the front of your body reaching to your back body. Steering your right side of your ribs over your right thigh. One more moment here. And then maybe you continue the journey. A little softness in your right knee. Keep drawing your right hip crease up into your body here. On both sides of your neck, feel long. Again, notice the intention of the back of your foot here. Think of like your back foot can keep getting longer as you anchor down through your back heel. One more moment. And then soften into your front knee so you can plant your hands. Soften into your front knee as much as you need to. When you plant your hands, again, have your pointer fingers parallel to one another. Release your back heel. Swing your right leg up, back behind you. So now you're in a short, downward facing dog. Stay here for a moment. Now that shape that we were playing with earlier at the beginning of class, you're going to lift your left heel, bend your left knee, and you're going to bring your left knee down to your mat. Now your right leg is lifted, so it's almost like a bird dog. Stay here for a moment, keep reaching through your right glute. Now you're going to lift up your left knee, reach it back. That three-legged downward facing dog in a very short stance. Lift your left heel, do it again. Bend at your left knee, plug in at your left hip, lower down your left knee, and then push right back up. Lift your left heel, gaze towards your thumbs. This time as you exhale, bend into your left knee, you're going to hop forward towards your thumbs. So press down through your arms, and as you exhale, hop your foot forward. It may take a couple hops, and that's okay. As you exhale, you land there, then fold in for a standing split. Reach long out of your left leg. Keep pulling the depth into your left hip crease. If that's not firming on your hip, come up to your fingertips and give you a little bit more space, more like a standing L. Reach through your lifted leg here, activate your glute. And then step your right toes. Keep both legs long if you can. Feel how you have to pull into yourself to let your right toes join your left. Soften your knees, exhale as you fold. Reach down through your feet, rise all the way up on your breath in. Exhale, pause your hands at your heart. Put the weight here into your left leg. Again, stay in tune to what your pelvis is doing. Lift your right knee up. Maybe you're at your right knee. Maybe you're behind your right knee. Or maybe you're at your right big toe. Wherever you're at, let your left arm come up alongside your left ear. Choose where you're going to land and play. And maybe you lengthen out your right leg. Plug your right shoulder blade back into your body. Stay here for another moment. Imagine you keep your right leg where it's at, and then release your right arm up. Float it there, keep reaching long into your standing leg. When you exhale, warrior three, your right leg is swinging back as you tick-tock. Hands could be out in front of you. Hands could be here at your heart. Stay active in your right glute as it's extending your leg. Strong through your center, one more moment. Soften your left knee. Lower your right toes in the shorter stance. Two long legs as you reach up, breathe in. Hands could stay up or hands could come at your waist or at your hips. As you hinge at your hips, steer your left hip crease back into your body. Pause halfway. Have a little softness in your left knee. Reach long into the back of your neck. You imagine you could draw the front of your throat to meet the back of your neck. And then you can continue the journey. A little softness in your left knee. Use the action as the up sweep of your left hip. Both hips are drawing back in, or your left hip is drawing back in space. It's almost like your right hip is steering towards your left big toe. One more moment here. And then take your hands, plant them on your mat out in front of your left big toe, just a smidge. Soften your knees as much as you need to make that happen. Feel here how the pointer fingers are parallel to one another. Release your back heel and let your left leg come back up in that short downward facing dog. Lift your left heel, bend at your right, or hinge at your right hip. You're lowering your right knee down to the ground as you exhale, peek forward. So, and then lift your left leg and then push down, lift back up. Again, lift your left heel, bend at your left knee, hinge at your right hip, lowering your right knee down, lengthen through the back of your neck, lift your back leg, and then push back up. Three-legged downward facing dog. This time we're going to hop. Inhale, lift your right leg, press down, long through your arms. As you exhale, hop as many hops as you need to get your right foot forward by your hands, and then exhale, fold over your right leg. Let both sides of your neck stay long. One more moment here. When you let your left leg join your right, lift up some, just part way, and then keep both legs long. Feel you have to pull up into yourself to lower your left toes beside your right. Exhale as you fold. Reach down through your feet, rise all the way up when you breathe in. Exhale, pause your hands at your heart. The weight's going into your right leg. Both hands are going to start at your hips. Draw your left leg up. Take your right hand and find your left knee. Now your arm here is going to cross your body. Your left leg is not crossing your body. That stays in line with your left hip the whole time. Especially keep that in mind when I give you the option for reaching down for the outside of your left foot. And don't let your foot cross your midline. And then start to spin at your belly to the left. Let your left arm release behind you. And maybe lengthen your left leg or not. You can also keep it bent. Keep reaching long through your standing leg. Reach up to the crown of your head. One more moment here. Rebend into your left leg. Square yourself back towards the center. Arms lift up. Breathe in. And then back for a warrior 3. Bend into your right knee. Left toes are coming down. Shorter stance here. Reaching the bottom of your foot to your heel. Lengthen through both of your legs. As you exhale, you're taking your left hand towards your right foot. It could be on the inside, it could be on the outside as your right arm reaches up. Hinging at your hip here. Stay long through your spine. Once you find your left hand on the ground, again, steer your right hip back away from your breastbone. If there could keep getting more and more space from your right hip crease to your breastbone. Your right hand could also always come to your low back. Stay here for another moment. And then gaze down. Let both hands find the ground. Soften, release your back heel. Press back up in that short 3-legged downward facing dog. Lift your left heel, peek towards your thumbs. As you exhale, hop your foot forward by your thumbs. Press down, lift your hips up. Exhale, fold into standing splits here. When you take your next breath out, you're going to tuck your right knee behind your left and have a seat all the way down. The seated spinal twist here. Let your left hip reach down so you can level through your pelvis. Reach up to the crown of your head and exhale as you twist to the left. You could keep your right hand here around the outside of your left leg, almost like it's a little encouragement to keep anchoring the space from your left, the outside of your left hip. One more moment here. When you unfold, take it to the other side, counter twist as you drop your head in, press the floor away. When you inhale, come on back up. You're going to uncross your legs and then float your shins for a boat pose. So again, feel here the hip hinge as you draw your thighs in towards your belly. Keep reaching up through the crown of your head. Your hands could always go behind your knees, or your hands could reach towards your feet. Stay here for a moment. You could even stay here. We're going to play. You're going to lengthen your legs and lower down into what looks like a canoe shape. Reach long through your left leg. Hover your shoulder blades. Peek at your toes. And then breathe out. Pull it all back in. Inhale as you lengthen. Lean and reach. Exhale. Draw your legs in. Reach up to the crown of your head. One more time. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, pull it all back in, cross your ankles. You're going to rock back, breathe in. Exhale, come forward, uncross your ankles, reach down through your heels, and you're going to stand all the way up. Ta-da! Pause your hands at your heart. Let your arms come at your sides. That might take a couple times, a little practice there. Stand on both of your feet, breathe all the way in. Reach down through your left leg, pull your right leg up. Take your left hand towards your right knee. Already you feel the rotation here, but don't let your right leg cross your middle. Keep it in line right at your right hip. You might reach down for the outside of your right foot. Again, notice your right hip. Don't let it hike up. And reach maybe your right leg long as your right arm goes back, spinning at your belly. Keep reaching up through the crown of your head. One more moment there. And then you're going to release it all. Bring your right hand back forward. Bend into your right knee. Arms reach up. Hinge back for warrior 3. Reach out of your right glute there really long. Soften your left knee. Lower your back toes. Then your heel. Lengthen out both of your legs. Breathe all the way in. When you start to fold and hinge, you first keep the length in your spine. Reach your hips back. Your right arm going towards your left toes. And your left arm is reaching up or coming to your low back. Your right hand might come to the inside of your foot. This would be a place also for a block. Or your right hand could go to the outside of your left foot. As you spin at your breastbone, your rib cage, the left side of your rib cage is reaching up. Draw some space from your left side of your hip towards your breastbone. Bring yourself back into the center. Here, maybe lengthen the left side of your neck some. One more breath. And then release your left hand to the ground. Soften your left knee, release your back heel, short downward facing dog. Lift your left leg, breathe in, lift your heel. As you exhale, hop your right foot forward between your thumbs and then fold over your right leg, standing splits. Let both sides of your neck feel long. One more breath there. And you're going to tuck your left knee behind your right, have a seat all the way down. Once you land there, clear your left ankle out of the way so you can lower down your right hip. As you reach around your right leg, let your right arm come behind you. Reach up tall through the crown of your head. One more moment here. Exhale, counter twist to the other side. Drop your head in. Your elbows won't even reach away from one another. And then inhale, come back up through the middle. Find both of your sitting bones here. Resist the urge to rock back onto your sacrum. So find your sitting bones, and you're going to be on the space just behind them. And then float your shins, fingertips towards your feet. Reach up to the crown of your head. Stay here and breathe. If you'd like to take the rowing adventure with me, we're going to do 3. So take a breath all the way in, and then lengthen, hover, and then exhale, draw it all back in. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, pull your knees in. One more time. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale as you pull it all in. You're going to rock back. Keep your chin tucked towards your chest. You're going to press down into your feet. Feet back towards your sitting bones. Lean forward and then stand all the way up. Ta-da! Exhale, take your hands to your heart. Breathe into your feet. Release your arms at your sides for Tadasana. Now, if you have a wall surface, we're going to take ourselves over there and explore a little bit of inversion. So option 1 is you can turn your feet towards the wall, bring your knees, come down into what's going to be a short downward facing dog with your thumbs or your pointer fingers again parallel to one another. When you lift your hips up, your feet then could come up the wall into an L shape. That could be option number 1. Okay, so that would look like this. Lift up through your hips and heck, you can stay right there. That can feel really, really nice. Play with the lift up through your hips. Press long through your arms. You don't have to go anywhere. Or you can bring your right heel up behind your right sitting bone. Press into your right leg. It's going to feel short and stubby. That's okay. Keep pressing through your arms, drawn at your rib cage. You keep both feet there at the wall, or you can start to lift the leg. Keep reaching tall through the long leg. One more moment here. Maybe you lower your right leg. Maybe you flirt with your left leg. Keep reaching down through the thumb side of your hand. Drawn at your rib cage. You might even start to flirt with softening the action at the bottom of your foot. If you're doing that, gaze towards your thumbs. And maybe you hover. When you're ready, come on down. Have a seat on your knees. And take a little pause in child's pose. Roll back and forth some on your forehead. Give yourself a moment there to sense where your breath is. Give your time a moment here to pause and to play. Anytime you want to pause the video and give yourself more time to explore this, you most certainly can. So I'm going to give you the option to come out at that one more time. If you would like, you could also turn, face towards the wall, and work with the hop. So if you're working with the hop, have your hands away from the wall, about a handprint and a half. Now that same action where we were before, with your one leg bent, you're on the ball mound of that foot and your right leg behind you. And then we were lifting up. Here is going to be where we're going to add on. So keep gazing towards the floor. Press down on the ball mound of your foot, but when you lift, this time you get to hop off of your left foot. So press down the ball mound of your foot, hover your knee. When you exhale, push and lift. Lower your knee back down. Reset. Press through the palms of your hands, more on the thumb side of your hand. Again, maybe flirt with what it feels like to have your pointed fingers parallel to one another. Hover your knee, breathe in, exhale, push away the floor. and up. Now, if you did just one side, I want you to play with the other side. If your body and your brain or anything, where I experience one side is very, very, very different than the other. It's completely normal. Again, bring your right knee or your other knee, whatever knee you were on, towards your thumb. I'm a little too close to the wall there. Lengthen your back leg. Hover your right knee. Breathe in. Exhale, push away the floor. Your back leg is going straight up in the air like an arrow. And bring yourself back down. You play with it again. Breathing in. Exhale. Pause. Maybe you're upside down. You can stay there and breathe. If you're all done with that, have a seat on your heels. Find some length in your spine, lengthen the back of your neck. Again, you have the option to pause the video and keep playing if you like. If you're watching this after, if you're live, I guess you come back to it. Options. Breathe in the tops of your feet. If this does not work on your knees, again, child's pose or another way to sit. You could also stay here, or if you would like to have a seat here between your feet are going to be here just on the outsides of your hips, so you can nestle your sitting bones down to the ground. And again, you could here also just stay vertical. Allow yourself to regather itself. Let your body reclaim its breath in a different rhythm. Notice how your heart rate is beating a little bit faster. That is one of the gifts that an inversion practice offers us. To invert, not only put weight into our hands instead of our feet, but also challenge the mind and what's possible. Taking a view from a different perspective, seeing what it looks like from a different angle. If you'd like to stay vertical, you can. Or if you would like to take a few breaths reclined, you can take your hands back and right onto your forearms. Here you might even lift a little bit through your seat, tuck your tailbone underneath your thumb, and then continue the journey down. Again, or the option is to stay upright. Again, you might even lift your tailbone some and tuck it underneath you. Find the space where your whole, there's much of your spine here, as much of your sacrum can connect with the ground. Your hands can stay at your hips. You could also, again, permission to stay upright. Blink your eyes closed, enjoy the length, and already notice the shifts. Allow the nervous system to adapt in its beautiful, beautiful resiliency that it's so capable of. Sometimes pressing the gas pedal, but also knowing that we have to also know how to pump the brake. Sometimes life requires things to be called into action, and sometimes life requires us to remember to slow down. Coming to a more restful place, a place of recovery, a place of reset. If you were down on your back, very slowly take as much time as you took to get there, to find your forearms on the ground, and then push down through your forearms, one arm at a time. Bring yourself back up. Have a seat here, and then when you lean forward, you just reach one leg out, give it a little stretch, get a little blood flow there in your leg. You bend your left leg, and then feel out the other one, reaching and rocking to your feet. And then bring your both knees down to the ground, send your feet off to one side, and then recline yourself all the way back down onto your back. Give yourself a moment there to wiggle around here, find your sacrum. Open up your arms into this T-type shape. Keeping your thighs close to your belly, take your knees and let them lower to the left, while keeping your right shoulder blade in contact with the floor. Your left hand could always come down and rest on top of your right thigh. Stay in the ground. You might even adjust and stagger your legs a little bit more so you can really feel the anchor of your right shoulder blade on the ground. Maybe your gaze softens. Allow your attention to go inward. Then sensing the energy in your hands. Notice the length of your inhale and your exhale. One more moment here on the side before we bring our knees back through the middle. And let them go to the right. You unwind some of the action from the inversion practice. Maybe allowing yourself to set something down that maybe is lingering a bit. Stay in contact here with your left shoulder blade. And adjust your legs as you need to keep your arm or keep your shoulder on the ground as much as you can. And draw your attention inward, watching the rise and the fall of your breath. And then stay here for one more moment. And then bring your legs back through the center. Nice and slow, take your time here. Feel the back side of your sacrum and then give yourself a little hug, wrap around your legs. And then roll to your side. Bring yourself all the way up. Extend your legs out in front of you. Have a little softness in your knees. Find both of your sitting bones here. Feel the length of your spine. When you exhale, one more opportunity there to hinge at your hips. To lengthen the whole back line of your body. Keep a little softness in your knees. So once you get there in your hands here, maybe right at your feet. Maybe there alongside your legs. Maybe your arms even reach and wrap underneath your legs. Once you get there, then if you want to explore the lengthening the back of your knees, you can. But notice again how that influences your spine. Keep the length in your low back. Create the intention, the hinge at your hips. Let your head drop in. Even take your chin a little side to side. Allow yourself here to give yourself permission again to not think about what the shape is supposed to look like or what you think it's supposed to be. But allow it to be an adventure here of feeling the whole back line of your body from your heels, back of your legs, along the back of your spine, the back of your neck, even up to the top of your head. Surrender here into yourself. And then very slowly start to bring yourself all the way up. And then find your way all the way down onto your back. Or maybe you take this opportunity to sit for meditation. Taking the space here for you to rest, to reset, settle in. That with all of the opportunities for change, for all the shifts that are happening in our worlds, we need to give ourselves time to allow our bodies to process, let our nervous system, let our brain, let our entire being process our experience. As you settle into rest, take a listen. Called beyond the confines of this chrysalis, by a force I cannot see or name. I am compelled by pain and something bigger than myself to leave the protection of all that I have known. There is struggle, doubt, an awkward settling forth. Finally, I break free of the cocoon and find myself surrounded by air and light. I dare to act, still not knowing what I am. Instinct, or maybe faith, bids me move forward, make the leap, explore this mystery of change and flight. I find myself with wings that dwarf my former world. Unfurled, they dry quickly in the sun. I, who expected to spend my days crawling, now teach myself to soar. Such a rush of wind and freedom. That first flight teaches me more than I had learned in a lifetime of crawling. A poem by Danah is called Metamorphosis. So imagine this transformation, this practice serves as this tool to shine light on the truth, to shine light and illuminate the great, tremendous amount of wisdom that resides in all of us. And when we can shine a light on that, we can see things for what they are, see ourselves as the whole, beautiful, perfect, divine essence that's in all of us. There's a moment or moments where we can tap into and feel the sense of peace and comfort that is there in knowing the truth. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishpampachaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishpampachaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishpampachaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Imagine that you can begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Deepen your exhale. Slowly finding your way here to your side and eventually to an upright seat. Once you're there, keep your gaze soft, your eyes closed, bring your hands into your heart. Sit up tall. I'm going to close our time together with an Om. Take a breath all the way in. Bowing deeply to the love, the light, the divine in each other. Be well, stay well. Reach out anytime. Bowing to you all. Namaste.